Hello and welcome back to LazArcade with me, BSF Gaming, the home of all weird and wacky in gaming. Today we have the European GT series at Le Mans. Two races for you up today. A sprint race followed by the endurance race. The sprint race here being 4 laps as opposed to the conventional 15 minutes due to the overrun not being long enough to support the track. So, if you would like to get involved, drop a message in the comments. I can send you a link to the Discord. Failing that, we can always head to the Facebook page and I can send you a link that way. Or if you'd like to do it through PSN, just hit BSF Gaming and I can send you the link that way. Let me just grab this and that, and hopefully we'll be underway very shortly. So, today we're looking at the European GT series. We are at Le Mans and we are gonna go. So Jeff started on pole, we're in the rain. Wixie second, Axel, Shugs, Barry, BSF, Watty, Wumjo and Riley at the back. And as these guys head down into turn 1, a couple of Bugattis in the field today, which one of them a shark livery, that's very cool. Jeff into turn 1 first, Wixie following in second, Axel and Shugs closely behind, Barry in 5th in a Ferrari? Yeah, in a Ferrari. Getting off to a very good start. BSF in 6th, 47, 48, and William Rob 2. Oh my god, I've yawned straight off the bat today. Brilliant. Riley and Wumjo at the back. Starting on dry tyres. Gonna find the first lap or so very difficult if the track doesn't dry up. However, it's not completely moist, so they should be alright once the tyres get some temperature in them. Everyone else on intermediate or wet tyres. Jeff into the first chicane. The rain still drizzling, so it's not going to dry completely just yet. Wixie chasing, Shugs in 4th. BSF has managed to slide past Barry. 40 now on the inside into the second chicane, looking to get the move done. Barry with a slipstream who's going to pull back up to the back of BSF. And 40 late onto the brakes here. Oh, very, very close. 3 astern. Watty joining in the back of that group. Oh, Barry with a big twitch. Heading out. Axel has picked up a 0.5 second track limit penalty for something in that chicane, so running slightly wide, and the rain increasing as they head down to the end of the Monster straight for the first time. Jeff going very wide. Axel and Wixie, Shugs, BSF all taking the more conventional line, followed by Barry, 40 and Watty. So Jeff's lead dropped a little bit as they head down the next of the straights. Jeff still leading from Axel. The 3 Bugattis pulling away from everyone into the tricky right-hander, which is bad enough in the dry, let alone in the wet. Jeff tentative, Axel not so much. BSF is off in the background and having a very sideways moment. 40 and Barry sliding through. Watty, BSF manages to keep it out the wall and is back on his merry way. In behind the dry runners, Womjo and Riley struggling to keep pace, but if the track continues to dry, we'll be in good stead. Jeff now in through the yes section, stretching his lead over Axel, who has dropped behind Wixie, serving his penalty, and that will mean that Shugs is right onto the back of them. In behind, Fordy's picked up a half-second penalty. BSF has made it back past Barry. And Watty is slightly getting detached from this group, but still in contention very early on. As head down into the final chicanes for the first time. Jeff leading the way from Wixie and Axel. Shugs very, very close behind in that Ferrari. BSF stretching the gap over Fordy, who's still got that penalty to serve. Barry and Watty following behind. A big twitch there from the old McLaren. Into turn one for the first time, and the track is apparent. Oh, Barry is off into the wall. Minor damage sustained. With heavy damage settings, this is going to prevail until his next pit stop. So Watty just taking it easy as he sets off after 40 and BSF all over the curbs on the exit. Down onto the Monsanto straight. Up ahead, Shugs is going for the move on Axel, but cannot pull it off. The Bugatti, with the acceleration of the four-wheel drive, just eking ahead. Coming down to the first of the chicanes again. Jeff, very tentative, gets it stopped nice and early. Doesn't run anything too extreme. Axel very wide and twitchy. Shugs following. In behind, BSF. And what was that, 40 again, running extremely wide. Picking up more penalty through that section. Watty behind, doing extremely well to keep pace. Up ahead, Axel, the three Bugattis just stretching away, and Ferrari of Shugs holding on. Oh, potential penalty for Wixie there, nearly cutting the corner. Gets away with it. Shugs now right firmly in that slipstream of Axel, down to the final corner on the hairpin again. Oh, Axel crossed up under braking. That's going to allow Shugs a good run, and he does get a good run. But once again, the Bugatti just sticking the power to the floor much better. Lamborghini of BSF struggling to keep up with the guys in front. Behind that, 40 and Watty now latching on in the slipstream, and hopefully these three working together to drag their way back up to the front. Down at the back, Barry and Womjo are doing it very good. Womjo on those dry tyres, but we're hoping the track dries out quickly. Barry just hoping to get round to the pits for a stop, and Riley not too far off the back at this early stage. Anything is possible, especially if tyre stops are coming up. So BSF stretching ahead now of 40 and Watty as they serve their penalties. Well, Watty getting the good run on 40 this time. Little twitch on the straight. slots back into the slipstream, looking for the move on the inside, but thinks better of it in these tricky conditions. Shug's tailing Axel now, as Axel running wide, looking for the wet patch, keep those tyres alive. Up ahead, Jeff flying along in the lead, going for another lap on those intermediates, and Wixie following. Axel too, so is Shugs. BSF diving into the pit lane. And that allows 40 through. Watty will also follow. Oh, bit of a corner cut there, mate. Can't do that. Game says half a second. Fast dry tyre runner, Wumjo is... Oh, Barry cutting the corner as well on the wet tyres. So the fast dry runner, Wumjo, is in P7 currently. And looking to hunt down the leaders. Riley following through now. BSF finally hitting the pit lane as Jeff starts the Monsanto straight. Those intermediates looking a bit grubby. But as long as the track stays slightly damp, they're going to be working well. Wixie following in behind, the tyres looking just as bad. Axel and Shugs have changed places. Shugs on the intermediate, so is Axel. They're also looking not too great. This is a very, very long lap for tyres to hold on. The wet tyres of Watty looking like they're going to really struggle on the back end of this lap as well. Oh, big cross under braking there from Watty. Gets it stopped. Is he going to be able to get the power down? Does, but not fast enough to stay in that slipstream of 40. Axel and Shugs have both picked up penalties. Jeff down into the second of the chicanes. Just eking it through. Not stressing the tyres too much. Wixie following well. Shugs looking for a wide line. So is Axel. Trying to keep the moisture on those tyres as long as possible. 40 taking a tighter line. Same with Watty and Wumjo on the dry tyres. Now coming back at them. Barry with the damage and the wet tyres is looking like he's struggling at this point. The Ferrari very quick in a straight line, but with the damage is going to be massively impeded. Riley on the mediums, almost barely touched, and BSF flying along at the back, hoping to catch up, I suppose. Jeff though, meantime, still out front, still looking after those tyres. Down in past the SE, or past the back straight. Wixie following along. Main battle here for third. Axel's gone wide, allows Shugs back through. Not what Axel wanted right before the penalty line. And that's going to drop him a little way back. 40 and Wumjo sneaking up next. Wumjo with a much tighter line, better grip, putting that power down, setting off after 40. What he's struggling on the wet tyres there. Barry as well, really struggling with the wets. Meanwhile, Jeff is up at the front, those intermediates hanging on for now. Running a little wide through the S's. And what does he decide to do here? He continues on. Wixie does as well. See if Shugs will follow. Shugs continues on as well, so does Axel. So the intermediates going again for those early runners. Womjo is already up to 5th, past 40, and is on a move. Watty on the wets, really struggling now as the track dries almost completely. Riley with a big 1 second penalty, and here comes BSF right behind him, who's already taken Barry. Switching to those soft tyres, looking to make up the huge gap to Jeff out front. So Jeff now just setting the fastest first sector on the final lap. The fuel burning down, the car getting much, much lighter. Well, the question is, will the tyres hold up and will they give enough grip to maintain that pace? Wixie storming down behind is probably the only one that's going to have any chance of mounting a decent challenge here. Shugs in the Ferrari has pulled out a huge gap on Axel, so that penalty of Axel's really not doing him any good last lap around. Womjo in 5th now, has passed 40 on the intermediates, also struggling to keep any sort of pace going. Watty has BSF all over the back of him and onto the second part of the straight. BSF is storming, 6 seconds up on the fastest lap currently. 40 ahead next, and Womjo ahead of him. So these three on a massive move, and that's Axel ahead. Really struggling with the tyres now. So Womjo in hard, fast. BSF zooming behind 40, looking for the gap and gets through. Sets off after Womjo. And as they head down to the end of the Monson Straight, there's a huge, tricky hairpin. Is going to prove quite the overtaking spot, should the track be dry enough, and it is. BSF around the outside of Womjo. Oh, wide onto the curb. Watty in the background, sliding sideways. Womjo sliding in behind BSF as they set off after Axel. Axel now holding on for dear life with those tyres. Shug's not looking too bad. The two Bugattis at the front really struggling for tyre wear, but they've only got quarter of a lap to go. So can they hold on with quite a sizable lead? Should be easy enough, but you never know. Jeff there hunting for the wet patches. Wixie 2, Shugs in 3rd. All sorts of twitchy coming out of that tight right-hander. Axel serving his penalty has dropped him right into the clutches of BSF, and here comes Womjo 2. So Axel with damage as well is not helping, but that little hesitation from BSF has probably stopped his move going forward. It's going to get Axel, but he can't surely make up the amount of space to Shugs. Jeff will hold on, barring any penalties, for the win, and does make it. Wixie 2nd. Here comes Shugs into the final chicanes. He's got a nice comfortable lead, just needs to keep it on the track. In behind BSF. Womjo now slides past Axel 2. 40 looking for the move on those intermediates is just as bad, but Axel's tyres are ruined. He manages to squeeze through into 6th. in the end, 40 comes home 7th. Watty all sorts of sideways. And Riley with the dry tyres might just miss out as they cross the line. And Barry's wet tyres, absolute demolished. Just got to get to the end of the lap now. And we'll see if he manages to hold on. Huge front end damage. Just ticking through the last couple of corners. So, we'll quickly do it. Jeff was the winner. Wixie second, Shugs third. BSF came home 4th. Wamjo was in 5th. Axel 6th. 47th. Watty 8th on the dead wet tyres. Riley 9th. And Barry will come home 10th through the final corner. And across the line. Very good effort with the massive damage there. So the first race down, and the endurance to go. So while we get this loaded up and ready to go, if you're interested in joining, please drop a message in the comments or hit us up on the Facebook page BSF Gaming, or drop me a message on the PSN network under BSF Gaming, and I'll send you any links to the Discord to get you in. If you don't fancy joining the Discord, more than welcome. Just add us on the PSN network and I'll give you the race info each week. So, second race here for the European GT Series. Barry will start on pole. Riley will start second, Watty third, 44th, Axel 5th, Wamjo 6th, BSF 7, Shugs 8, Wixie 9, and Jeff will start at the back. So this time, Wamjo starting on softs again, and there is the only one on dry tyres. So Wamjo going for the same strategy again. It worked out well in the first race. One more lap and he would have been right at the front, potentially. As they slide through the first corner, Barry taking the lead, Watty following through, and Axel's already up to third. So a good start from Axel. Heavy on the brakes to avoid the contact. And then through the first set of S's they go. 40 looking for the move, but gonna find it hard to get past the Bugatti through that section. Behind him is a whole gaggle of cars, and they're gonna have to sort themselves out as the rain continues to fall for this very early start. Wixie all the way out to the left, Jeff following. Shugs as well, getting a little bit boxed in behind Watty, and as they head into the chicane for the first time, everybody sneaking through very nicely. Oh, is that Wixie forcing the gap? Wixie forcing the gap between Watty and Shugs. That Bugatti not hanging around. Jeff now with a huge run. BSF is following and thinking about sliding in between Watty and Shugs. Heading down into the chicane, and BSF is all over the curbs. But again, it stopped, and that will let Shugs back through. Potentially Watty, who slides across into the slipstream, sending Riley wide. 40 having to check up, getting stuck in that train. And as they head down to the end of the Monsanto Straight for the first out of 12 laps, 40 does go for the gap. Oh, pushes Watty into the path of Riley. and that could be investigated by the stewards afterwards. But no damage done. Womjo on the drying track with the soft tyres gets them fired up much quicker this time. Staying in contention, is already looking at putting a move on Riley. Question is he going to have the power under the brakes? Ahead of them, Fordy and Barry now are coming together. Oh, but Barry fired off into the gravel. That will also be checked after the race. BSF is up to 5th, chasing Shugs, much closer to the front guys this time around with Shugs and BSF. Jeff not being able to run away, having to come through the field. The same with Wixie, now all behind Axel. Heading in, oh, Wixie around the outside of Axel, nearly shunting him into the wall, getting away with it. In behind, 40 now up to 6th place. On a move as well, he's having a much better start to this race than the last. Ahead of them, Shugs is all out of control and on the AstroTurf. Oh, and this sliding wide. Maybe in a little bit of contact, but nothing massive. BSF taking a 1 second penalty though for going wide, so that may well be a very unfortunate thing. Into the last chicanes we go. Wixie starting to stretch away from Axel, but the intermediates already starting to burn up. And that may mean that can't see who dived into the pits there. Did somebody dive in? Womjo dived into the pits, so there's no damage. Looking maybe to get the tyres out the way. Potential. Wixie stretching away from Axel, who's holding up Jeff. Shugs has got BSF all over the back of him as they head through the S's at the start of the straight. BSF wide again. Could be more penalties. Looks like got away with it. 40 chasing down though, managing to keep touch. Riley and Barry doing much better as well. Watty, having picked up some damage somewhere, is in 9th. Womjo has just gone for the dry tyres again, so onto mediums. We'll be looking maybe to do an undercut, as everybody else has to use both the soft and medium tyres in this race. So Womjo thinking, I'll get the tyres out the way early and then deal with whatever else comes later. Up at the front, Wixie is still stretching the gap over Jeff now as he goes for the move on Axel. And those two side by side. Axel still looking at coming back, backs out of it into the second of the chicanes and going extremely wide, which will bring Shugs back in and BSF as well. 40 doing a nice job there coming through. Riley on the wet tyres this time around. Keep in touch in the early stages, and Barry no damage, doing very well. Womjo now coming up to the second of the chicanes. See how he gets on. Looks like the car's nice and stable. Dry tyres doing well in these mixed conditions. Car looking nice and planted. Could be gaining some time towards the end of the lap here. Wixie though miles ahead of Jeff, again in turn ahead of Axel, but behind him a 4-car gaggle. Shugs, BSF, 40 and Riley. heading down into this massively tricky right-hander again. BSF all sorts of sideways, gets it down on the apex, shugs all sorts of fishtail, picking up a half-second penalty. BSF dropping back in behind, getting the run. 40 having a twitch on the curb will allow Riley to have a go at him. And as BSF serves his penalty, he'll drop to the back of those few. Watty's taken to the grass there for the scenic route. Barry didn't serve his penalty there, so maybe picking it up too late. Oh Jesus, the yawning. Down at the back of the field, Womjo is still on the track, no damage, so doing very well to keep up. Riley all sorts of sideways all over the curbs. BSF back up to 6th, chasing 40. Shugs is having a go on Axel. Axel dives into the pits, so does BSF. And Riley, like a missile, punting of BSF into the wall. Barry sliding into the wall as well. Riley picking up a 3.5 second penalty for that contact. BSF with massive time loss into the pit lane. Axel will now stretch that gap. Watty going for one more lap as the rain continues to fall on the pit straight. The Bugattis of Jeff and Wixie both going well up at the front. Shugs with his little tiny penalty setting off after them. 40 following as well. Watty looking like those intermediates this time around, serving much better than the wets in the last race. Womjo, having pitted on the first lap, is now up to 6th, so a massive undercut there. Axel doing good straight out of the pits onto some softs. BSF with a 3-second penalty from being punted across the pit lines on the entry, so that is not going to go down well with the stewards. Womjo now dropping behind Axel will use that Bugatti's pace to drag himself towards the front as they zoom down the first part of this Monsanto straight into the first chicane. Womjo doing very good, keeping it tight and clean, losing gap to Axel, just manages to get the power down earlier. Watty now as well with that damage, just losing time by the millisecond, and Axel just swamping him into the braking zone. And Womjo's not going to be far behind on those dry tyres. He's going to have much more grip on the corner exit here. It does so, just wants to get the car straight, slipstream, shoot past. 40 on the intermediates, hanging on to Shugs. In turn, Jeff is holding on to Wixie. Wixie not being able to get away. Faster last lap around, but not by much. Welcome in, Peter. You are indeed flying. Very early on. Watty with the damage though, somehow keeping touch. Is gonna wear those tyres out massively fast. More yawning. Riley has ditched it somewhere and has dropped off the back of BSF. with that 3-second penalty for getting shunted in the pit lane is all sorts of sideways. Oh, very good save. What he stationary in the middle of the corner. I'm not sure what happened to Watty there. Very stationary in the corner. BSF unfortunately having to serve that huge penalty. Will now let Watty back through. The only real battle for the moment is Womjo and Axel. As they head into the back S's. Wixie is in this time, so is Jeff. Shugs possibly following, he is, and in behind them is 40. Axel into the final few corners. May take the lead briefly if he's quick enough. Axel deciding no, he's going to jump in the pits. So Womjo will now go through. But is Womjo close enough to take the lead? Not sure what everybody else is doing for tyres or fuel at this rate. So Wixie's the first of the stoppers and he's going for fuel. Jeff doesn't take fuel, he goes straight out on softs. Wixie takes a bit of fuel but not a full tank. And is on mediums. BSF is in as well, so some of the dry runners also stopping for their second tyres, which is Jeff has managed to get out ahead of Womjo, and that could be crucial as Wixie has just left the pits and through into the S's on the medium tyres. We'll have the softs for the second part. Riley having pitted a while ago is up to 4th. Shugs is up to, or down to 5th. Barry pitted, he's doing alright in 6th. Fordy's got a penalty in 7. BSF onto soft tyres now, not taking fuel either. Is in 8th. Axel having pitted for his second dry tyre, getting that out the way. Down to 9th. Watty getting repaired and onto the soft tyres, down in 10th. So Jeff, having not taken fuel at that first stop, has got a huge lead over Womjo and an even bigger one back to Wixie, who was quite a way ahead before the stops. That gap increasing to Shugs and Riley not too far behind, looking for a move into the second of the chicanes potentially. 40 defending from Barry. Barry exceedingly fast in that Ferrari. Getting a brilliant exit from the second of the chicanes straight into the slipstream of 40, and he's going to be pushing him towards the end here. BSF a long way back from those guys in front, so having made that second stop, it's looking to make up a whole pit stop's worth of time to everyone, including Jeff. Jeff now just holding his composure into the fast right. The Bugatti extremely stable. Wixie now closing on Womjo. He's got to use that slipstream and not get caught up behind for too long. He needs to make short work of Womjo and push forward as fast as possible into the dodgy right hand turn with a nice little hump in the middle for good measure. Shugs with Barry, Riley and Fordy now all squabbling behind. But Barry back into 5th, Riley in 6th, Fordy down to 7th. Got to serve a penalty. BSF in the background is closing in on this little gaggle, so that doesn't bode too badly. Axel, having made his second stop in the Bugatti, has got to set off after those in front hugely fast and hope to God that he can eke that fuel out. He did stop for a full tank that last lap around, which means that he could go much further and not need fuel for several more laps. As Jeff is now going for a second lap on the softs. Wixie with Womjo behind. Shugs is into the pits. Shugs will be going for his second tyre maybe. Barry, Riley, Fordy, BSF is also into the pits. There's no damage, so Shugs dropping down the order. Axel is also into the pits. And there's little spots of rain here and there. As the rain picks up, what with a massive twitch. Track getting wet by the second. Jeff on those softs should be absolutely fine as long as he can keep heating them. The four-wheel drive brigade should do exceedingly well. Wixie chasing down behind on the mediums won't be so bad. Womjo rear-wheel drive might suffer a little bit, but should be good as long as the rain doesn't pick up too badly. Fordy, Barry, and is that Riley? Yeah, the rain picking up though. Also staying all out on the dry tyres. Shugs straight to intermediates. Axel onto full wets. BSF onto full wets. Watty, we'll find out when he comes out the pits. Watty has gone to full wets as well. Into the second of the chicanes on the Monsanto straight. Jeff tiptoeing now. It's a track down this end of the track. Very greasy. Wixie coming in, not much faster, if at all. The rain continues to pummel down. Womjo extremely wide. Got to just get it back on and go. Riley has picked up some damage, but has pulled massively away from Barry, who also has damage, and so does Fordy. So these guys all in a spot of trouble. Shugs, the first of the intermediate runners, flying, having not got fuel last lap around. Axel and BSF topping off the tanks, also on a move. I'm looking at just closing up any sort of gap possible to the guys in front. Because if they can't get to the lead now, they lose that advantage of using both their dry tyres. And there is a huge gap to Jeff up at the front. Squidging it through the first of the tricky right-hander corners. Now coming up to the S's with an even worse one. That's probably the worst corner on the track, this one coming up. Slightly uphill off camber right-hander, which in the rain, huge gravel trap on the outside, says come see me. Jeff managing to take it nice and slow, just gliding the car around, not trying to take too much speed. Doesn't want to run the risk of falling off the track and wasting time. Wixie can't afford that luxury. He needs to set off after Jeff as quickly as possible. Through the S's comes Jeff, and he's going to have to dive into the pits this time, surely. And he does. Jeff is in for some wet tyres of variety. Just starting the S's is Womjo on his mediums. Shugs on his intermediates on the move. BSF off into that gravel through that tricky right-hander, picking up a 2-second penalty. So that's not ideal. Setting off back after Axel. And these guys just hoping that they can get out in front of these guys that are now in the pits, because if they don't get out now, they lose that advantage. Will Jeff get some fuel? He actually does this time around. Wixie finally into his box. Car drops. Shugs does go through, so does Axel, so does BSF. Jeff coming out of the pits now. Wixie goes for a full tank. 6 laps to go. Womjo does get to the pits, so does Riley, so does Barry. Fordy's in as well. Watty already on the wet tyres. Gonna make up several places now. And set off after the guys up the front. So Shugs, Axel, BSF with that 2-second penalty for unforced error. Being hunted by Jeff. And now the rain has come. Has basically nothing to lose, because when they all pit back to dry tyres, should the track dry out, that is, will be at no disadvantage. Same with Wixie, although Wixie pitted for both his tyres, he gets a free choice. Quite a few with that free choice of tyre if and when the track dries out. Fordy finally out of the pit lane. Down at the back. Shugs though doing a very good job up at the front. Axel closing in from behind. BSF holding on. The wet tyres looking like they've got the advantage over the wets for the wets having the advantage over the intermediates for the moment. Axel with a huge sideways moment. BSF as well. In behind, Jeff just taking it easy. Wixie not sideways, just planted, nice and steady. Down we come to the hairpin again. Shugs has enough of a lead not to worry about any moves here. Axel, BSF in behind. Jeff is closing rapid. Might get BSF with that penalty this lap around. And we all know if those Bugattis get to the front, they just pull away in a train. Wixie picking up a half-second penalty there for evidently track limits, but not quite clear which. Watty doing very good. The back markers now. Womjo with a 1.5 second penalty. Riley on fresh wets. Barry and Fordy. Also on wets, so Shug's picking up a 1 second penalty. That's going to kill his lead. Pulls to the side to serve it, but doesn't have to this lap. Gets away with it. But just means it's going to compound later on. BSF does serve his penalty, and now Jeff closing in like a rabid Wolverine straight around the outside. And Jeff on intermediates is picking up the spot. Wixie will be in behind. Also on intermediates. Oh, slight graze of the wall there. BSF looking for the move back on Jeff as they slide their way through the S's. BSF drawing alongside Jeff, but that Bugatti just with the horsepower advantage staying ahead. Into the chicane they go. BSF following in behind Jeff. Huge break in there. Jeff all sorts of out of shape. But again, on power, the Bugatti just plants that power down all four wheels and pulls away. Wixie picking up a half-second penalty. That will hinder his progress forward. Jeff and BSF. Jeff wide into turn one. BSF takes the third place back. Jeff looks like he gets away with a penalty there. Does so. Just slowing down enough not to get the penalty through turn one. Watty now next, all on his lonesome. Riley struggling through the last corner. 40. Same again, just little bits of twitchy struggling here and there. McLaren doing a solid job through the chicane. Womjo into the pits, massive damage. Barry, massive damage as well, but carrying on. Axel has taken the lead from Shugs. BSF with Jeff all over the back of him into the first of the chicanes. BSF's throwing it in sideways. Jeff following as they get the power down. BSF just holding Jeff off momentarily. Wixie is closing in still though. Watty's still in no man's land in P6. Axel pulling away from Shugs. The wet tyres definitely seeming to have an advantage over the intermediates, but also those Bugattis just monstrous in the straights. BSF all over the curb on the exit, and that Bugatti again just straight around the outside. As BSF has to fall into the slipstream again. Maybe a move into the hairpin here at the end of the straight. These two just dancing backwards and forwards into the hairpin we go. Jeff is off, so is BSF. That allows Wixie to catch up. And Wixie may well take 2 for 1 here. The speed and the overrun. And with that slipstream as well, straight around the outside of BSF and Jeff. Into the tricky right. Jeff, Axel, all sorts of out of control, going wide. Shugs not doing too bad himself. Wixie holding it down low. BSF, Jeff all following 3 line astern. Shugs will serve the penalty this time around, so will Axel, so will Wixie. So Wixie serving that penalty. BSF back up to third, momentarily sliding in front of Wixie. Jeff also closing in, but not able to get close enough this time. Down at the back of the field, Riley with a penalty to serve. 40. Barry with some damage still. Womjo fresh out the pits again. Full tank of fuel, intermediate tyres. Shugs chasing down Axel. Axel sideways into the chicanes, nearly losing it. Great save. In behind, BSF and the two Bugattis chasing down the two leaders, and that gap decreasing by the second. Wixie with a good run out of the final corner. Might look for a move into turn one. Well, these Bugattis, they could just take their time and just plant down the main straight. They're going to have all sorts of a speed advantage over anyone else. BSF chucking the car through the turns as hard and as fast as it will go. Wixie and Jeff both on intermediates. As the track starts to dry again, will be on the better tyre at this stage. Track drying out rather quickly. And there goes the Bugatti on the straight, just pulls to the side, zips around the outside. And Wixie now up to third, setting off after Shugs, and there goes Jeff as well. And BSF back through the middle of the two, past Jeff, but not quite Wixie. This battle isn't over yet. The Lamborghini doing a good job of trying to fight with them, even though the straight line speed advantage that the Bugattis have is pretty mighty. And as they drag back past, BSF drops to the back of the pack again. All three down into the second of the chicanes. Jeff and Wixie side by side. BSF looking for the run out of the chicane, can't get it, just filters back into the slipstream. Jeff looking for the run, goes for it. That's going to drag BSF along, but not through. Jeff still with that slipstream, can't get through, he's just hanging it on the outside. So down into the hairpin. Jeff makes the move around the outside. Wixie has to back out. BSF all over the back of him trying to make a move, but the Lamborghini with no power to fight these Bugattis has to sit in the slipstream and get towed along. Up at the front, Shugs and Axel holding their own for the moment. But here come the train behind them. Wixie with BSF all over the back of him. Into the hard left we go. And again, all three of them in a line chasing the top two. Shugs with no penalty this time around. Neither Axel will keep their gaps. Jeff, Wixie and BSF all together, zooming along into the second part of the S's. And is anybody going to be brave here and go for tyres, or are they all going to go again? This could literally make or break your race with 4 laps to go. BSF is off into the gravel. And that's pretty much annihilated that choice. That choice for him. So off we go. Wixie chasing Jeff, looking for the move. Up at the front. Axel's into the pits, so is Shugs. Jeff and Wixie go one more time. BSF into the pits this time, not getting rammed. Gets in nice and cleanly. Riley on the mission. All over the grass. That's going to send him wide on the second part of the corner as well. And 40 in behind on wets as well. He's catching up massively. Watty's still on wets, Womjo on wets. Barry, the first driver onto the dry tyres, and he is on a move. Got to stick to that dry line, but as long as he does, should be okay. Jeff and Wixie on the intermediates. Hello, Popsicat. Come on then. Jeff and Wixie, if they ding-dong battle here and don't work together, they could cost themselves some time. Axel's out of the pits on some mediums. Oh, and straight away sideways. BSF on some softs, also out the pits. All sorts of crossed up. Shugs has gone to mediums. Watty into the pits, Womjo will likely follow. The 2 Bugattis up at the front on the intermediates. As long as there's any sort of moisture, they can keep those tyres cool. And therefore keep the grip and keep the speed. But as they come down to the second of the chicanes, line astern on that wet patch, into the chicane they go. Just not as quick as the dry runners. The dry runners may well make up some gap here. BSF sideways on softs, chasing down the axle, and behind Shugs, having made a massive error, has got damage again already. Dropping a long way off the guys in front. Riley back onto softs as well. Looking to make up some gap. 4D sat behind. Watty not far off. With Barry and Womjo did pit. It's picked up a half-second penalty though. Jeff all over the side of the track, keeping them tyres cool. Same with Wixie. Head down into the dodgy right, and this is where you want your tyres, in the right window. Jeff makes it. Wixie does as well. Very nicely done. Here comes BSF. He's got past Axel into the final hairpin. Bit wide, but running a risk of penalty going that wide. Doesn't get one. Gets away with it. Axel chasing now then, as these two look to just drag back up to the guys in front. If they can't drag up to the guys in front, then it's going to be a little bit difficult once these guys pit. Wixie doing a good job of keeping the pressure on Jeff, and as long as these two don't ding-dong too much, they're going to get through the rest of this lap unscathed. Oh, BSF off into the wall. picking up damage. That's going to nerf that chance of a race win. Axel with catastrophic damage as well. Jeff and Wixie both into the pits. Any chance of these two picking up the lead has disappeared. Shugs also with damage. So all the O'Reilly with massive damage, engine and rear wheel. So he's gone backwards into a wall somewhere. 40, the first of the dry runners with no tyre damage, or no car damage. Watty doing well as well. Barry picking up some damage. Wumjo at the back onto softs, should be okay till the end. Jeff out on mediums, Wixie out on softs, no fuel for the both of them. BSF continues through. It's going to have to make do with the damage. Axel pitting, that damage much more severe. And Shugs continuing as well. 40, I don't know what Riley's going to have to pit for that damage. There's no two ways around that. Can't make it out of fourth gear. Barry on the move. Getting the place back from Watty. Wumjo not doing too bad, chasing them down. But Jeff has lost huge amounts of time to Wixie in that first sector somewhere. Picked up a half-second penalty as well. So Jeff having a spin or an off maybe allows Wixie to go through. BSF third, holding off Shugs. The only real battle on the track for the moment. Axel and 40 here. 40 with some real damage. Axel, having pitted to repair his massive damage, is now back onto the rear of 40. Should make light work of him on the straights. The rear damage slowing the car down, and then just a sitting duck to that Bugatti as it flies through. 10 mile an hour speed difference already, and that's only going to increase. Down to the braking zone, into the first of the chicanes. Axel getting it stopped nicely. Getting a good run. 40 can't live with it. Shugs all over the curbs. Has dropped back from BSF a bit. BSF has still got that half-second penalty. So 2 laps to go. Jeff, no damage from his off, but massive time lost to Wixie. May well mean that this will be the way the cookie crumbles. We'll have to see. That time penalty as well, not going to help his cause in trying to close back to Wixie, but I have seen stranger things happen. Oh, and Jeff off again. Oh, wide. Losing even more time to Wixie. Now, so the penalty losing even more time. BSF in the background serving his penalty will lose the ground that he's just made on Jeff. But Shugs now doing a good job of keeping it clean, at least, with the damage. No penalty, will gain quite a bit of time back down the straight. Axel as well, as long as he can keep it going, he'll be in a good position come the next lap, or as I say that, sideways in the braking zone, into the wall. Massive engine damage, massive rear wheel bumper damage. 40 now just sliding through into 5th. Axel's going to be a sitting duck to anyone behind. He's going to have to do what Riley did and get in and get that repaired ASAP. Riley already back ahead of Watty. Those two dragging each other back towards Wumjo and Barry. Up at the front, Wixie commanding gap over Jeff. BSF still with the damage, plodding on. He's going to have to sneak a trick or two if he's going to get anywhere closer to Jeff. Jeff somehow still not picking up damage even with those offs. A wonder in its own right. Shug's quite a long way off as well. He's going to have to pull something out the bag. 40, rear bumper damage still carries on. And Axel's in this lap, surely. Yeah, he is. Axel's in behind. Wumjo and Riley having a massive slide through the S's. Both of them go wide. Probably going to get penalties for that. Wumjo with a half second. Riley gets nothing. Was even further off the track. Bit unfair, but okay. Gran Turismo penalty system. Not the most realistic or consistent. So we're going to see what these wet medium tyre runners go to. As the rain comes down again, Riley and Wumjo are off at turn 1. 40 was off the track there as well. Shugs, BSF. Shugs, BSF, 40, they're all on dry part of the track at the moment. Jeff too. Jeff, Wixie. Oh. And BSF off into the gravel, somehow keeping it out of the wall, but the rain coming right in the braking zone there for him. Shugs managed to get it on the straight. Jeff as well, getting the rain on the straight, but onto a dry part of the track as well, and Wixie too. So this track's so big that there's multiple different weathers going on at different parts of the track. So weather confusing everyone. We've got Watty going to wets, Barry on intermediates, Axel's gone for more softs, Wumjo is on softs, and a massive rain wets Wumjo with some 360 skills there as the rain just brushes across the track right in his traction zone. Riley getting it on the straight was absolutely fine. He's on mediums. 40 looks like he got that in a traction zone as well. He's got slowed down that straight. He's on mediums. Chugs is on mediums. BSF is on softs. Jeff is on mediums and still doing alright. Wixie's on those softs. He's still got a huge lead over Jeff. And all he has to do is just limp it home from here without too much issue. Just ouch. So Wixie now looking to pit. And the pit lane extremely wet. So maybe more rain is on the way. Jeff decides to go through the pit lane here, quite a long one. BSF struggling with the damage, and the damage is what's really going to play the big factor here. So the car just not turning at all. So BSF probably with a 1 second penalty added to the half second, gonna get off of those tyres. Shugs coming through the S's. We'll see what he does in a brief second. Fordy's looped it round. He's in the wall. 2.5 spins. And another one for good measure. Riley goes through. Fordy limping. Oh, and another spin for Fordy. Let's see if Fordy can... Oh, somebody else is in the wall. Axel's into the wall. He's got picked up rear wheel damage. Fordy has now got going without spinning, so that's going to help him. BSF has gone out on wets, still in 3rd place, so that's a brave one. Missed what Wixie went to. Wixie went to his intermediates. BSF has gone to wets. Shugsy has carried on mediums. Riley's on mediums. Axel's gone through with the damage on softs. Barry continues. He's on intermediates. Wumjo is on softs. Watty is on wets. Riley and Fordy are both into the pits. So Jeff on the medium tyres. A decent lead over Wixie. And if the track doesn't get any wetter, Jeff is in the commanding seat here. And if it does get wetter, is Wixie close enough to deal with the gap and make the overtake? The track here drying out hugely. BSF behind, Shugs following, not too far back. He's in the frame. BSF with that 1.5 second penalty is going to struggle. Jeff just popping through the shot there as Wixie's coming down the straight behind him. Wixie just appears in the background. They're onto a dead bone dry piece of the track now. That's going to suit Jeff's medium tyres a lot better than the intermediates of Wixie. Wixie just trying his damnedest. He's thrown away the lead here. BSF with the 3rd place had to repair, didn't have to repair the damage, but it came out in 3rd and is still in 3rd, so nothing lost there. But all these intermediate and wet runners losing out to the dry runners just braved it. Barry the only one making substantial places, having pitted the lap before. And Shugs with huge damage, running low on fuel. Wixie's getting close, but he's just not close enough. Jeff tiptoeing through that dodgy right. Track still damp. Wixie much more planted, closing down metre by metre, millisecond by millisecond. Through the last of the difficult corners, Jeff's just got a clean run to the end now. 2 chicanes to navigate for Jeff to take the 12 laps here at Le Mans. Just got to keep it cool. No silly mistakes, no silly penalties. Nice and easy. Wixie throwing it through. He's got nothing left to lose. Might as well hope something happens. Gets the second place. BSF holding on. Shugs behind. Into the S's they go. Wets versus mediums. In behind that is a decent battle, which we'll get to any second now. They've all stretched out with the penalties being served. BSF holding off Shugs into the final two chicanes they go. Wets versus medium. Lamborghini versus Ferrari. BSF hard on the brakes. Sliding it through the first and the second part of that chicane. Getting it onto the curb on the second one. Shug's doing the same, but not able to close the last little meters with that damage. Axel's having a ding-dong battle with everyone. Massive rear damage. Bugatti flying ahead of Wumjo there in behind, and these two with that half-second penalty looming over Axel may drop him down to 6th. Axel crosses line 5th, but Wumjo's close enough to get 6th. Barry limps across the line in 7th. Watty from miles off the back on the wet tyres will get 8th. Riley and Fordy both on intermediates, bouncing across the curbs. Fordy with another off at the last ditch effort will lose out in the back. So the final positions there, Jeff with a decent last stint there, braving the elements, taking the win from Wixie, who ended up coming home 2nd, BSF 3rd, Shugs 4th, Wumjo 5th, Axel 6th, Barry 7th, Watty 8th, Riley in 9th, and Fordy in 10th. And that concludes the European GT series for today. If you are interested in joining us, please drop a message in the comments, like and subscribe to the channel. Send you the working links to Discord via DM. If you don't fancy that, we have a Facebook page over on that with BSF Gaming, the title you need to choose. Again, all information for the week there for you to follow. The PSN network, again, BSF Gaming. If you fancy doing it privately, do it that way. I'll send you the working links when free. Other than that, thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you again soon. Ciao for now.